Welcome back to Your Valley Sports Plug. I am your host, Chris Patrick. This is our 2024 MLB Season Preview live stream. Joining me this evening are my lovely and beautiful co-hosts, Mr. Benjamin and VSP Tallman. What's going on, fellas?
Fellas, I got new digs, but at least it's not leaking in here like it is at Chase Field. Tallman, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Oh, doing good, guys. I love the low blow so quick to Chase Field. It's going great. Just got a lot more excited about this stream just because of some very recent news, which I'm sure Chris has got that for you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's not bury the lead. We have plenty to talk about here. We're going to go over the expectations we have for the Diamondbacks this season, take a deep look at the NL West. We'll look at the whole league more broadly. We want to talk about some additions the Diamondbacks have made. One big one, and the signing Tallman was alluding to there was the Diamondbacks acquiring starting pitcher Jordan Montgomery on a 1-year, $25 million deal. Last played for the Rangers, if I recall correctly. Really good season last year, 3.2 ERA. I think he had 10 wins. It's a great signing, especially with a little bit of a banged up starting lineup in the starting pitching rotation. But also, we're going to look at some odds for the awards for the World Series and just in general, and make some predictions as well at the end. But let's just dive right into it. I think, why don't we just talk about that off the start? The Diamondbacks starting pitching rotation now boosted even more with the addition of Jordan Montgomery. In no particular order, we'll have Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Jordan Montgomery. 5 Brandon Pfaadt, I'd imagine. And given how Pfaadt did last season, I mean, guys, a lot of reasons to be excited right now.
Oh, isn't it beautiful? I was gonna say, who did they rob for that $25 million? But then I just remembered what Mike made fun of. They decided not to fix the roof. Instead, they're going to pay Jordan Montgomery. I mean, I love where this team's priorities are at right now. No, all jokes aside, I was very surprised. I don't know about you guys. I mean, when you said that, I was like on my phone. I was like, I need to read this somewhere because I'm not believing what I'm being told right now. Minutes into this, or minutes before this stream. So big shock. I mean, it tells you this front office they're going to be aggressive. And, we were kind of waiting. Where's that splashy signing? I got over it. I was like, well, they brought everybody back. They added some good pieces, but this is it right here. This is the signing that puts us in true contention against the Dodgers, against I guess you could say the Giants now in the division.
Oh, without a doubt. And I want to let you take the floor here, Mike, but I just want to piggyback off that. And this kind of surprised me, just the amount of money there. You see, he'll get 2 years, $50 million. I'd imagine 1 year of that is an option of some sort, whether player or club. But either way, that's a lot of money for 1 or 2 seasons. And when we had so many fans and people clamoring about wanting to get JD Martinez and going to get that power bat, he signed for a 1-year, $12 million deal. So the Dbacks had the money, but they saw something where they thought maybe we didn't need JD Martinez, or that money could have been better spent elsewhere. And I mean, on paper, I think clearly that's the case here.
Well, I think the one thing that you also got to remember, guys, is from our playoff run, what was one of the biggest crutches for this Diamondbacks team? It was the starting rotation, basically only having 3 guys and throwing 2 bullpen games. It went down to kind of 1, but you solidify that already by bringing in Eduardo Rodriguez, coming off a career best ERA of 3.30 and a career low WHIP of 1.15. And then you add a guy like Jordan Montgomery. You guys were joking about, well, where does that put Merrill Kelly? Is he still in the top 2 of this starting rotation? It's a real question to ask. And it's something to really, really get excited for, because they did make some moves to shore up some things, obviously bringing in Eugenio Suarez, adding your DH with Jock Peterson and Randall Grichuk. But, man, this kind of late addition right before opening day, if your juices weren't already flowing, now you just got to be jumping out of your seat ready for this thing to get started, man.
As if there weren't enough reasons to be excited about this Diamondbacks team. I mean, let's rewind it just a little bit. I know this is the 2024 preview stream, but we have to see where we've been to talk about where we're going. Guys, last year we sat here on the same live stream for the 2023 season and made our predictions. And I think it was a consensus that we just really, really wanted the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs, right? That was our goal. Like, guys, just make the playoffs. Maybe not even do any type of run in the playoffs. Just make it. Like, even if it's just the, what do they call it? Wild card games. We were just hoping maybe we'd get to play in a wild card, 3-game series. And then I don't have to tell you, we made that incredible run to the World Series, won a game in the World Series. Unfortunately, just came up a little bit short, but man, that is just incredible. And to see how much this team has changed since then, and the fact that we were able to keep all those guys together is just absolutely incredible. But Tallman, just real quick, what are you thinking, reflecting on last season, going into this season? Will they be able to carry that momentum forward and pick it right back up where they left off?
Absolutely, and I do. I think we're gonna see a lot of excitement around this team. I think the city's ready for the baseball season to start. I think this group of guys, I mean, just how much we talked about, the culture they built in that clubhouse with Lovello, such a young core group of guys that are, so close together. And I say young core group, and, sprinkle in Cattell in there. We won't forget about his old ass. But no, I think with this team, for what magical run they went on last year, and to have all those main pieces back and get better. I mean, you got to think these guys are, I don't want to steal Mike's saying here, but they're chomping at the bit right now to get this season started on Thursday against the Rockies. And I would be too. I mean, how big just how juiced up does this make you right now? Not only as a fan, but imagine being Corbin Carroll, or even Zach Gallen right now, where you have this huge piece coming in. Where the week started, I'm like, well, there's the Paul Sewald news. He's going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season. We can't even have our new shiny toy in Erod, the pitcher that we brought in. And, we're trying to work out what's our rotation going to be like. And then now this just jumps on it. And, when we get Erod back in the rotation, we get Sewald back, this team is going to be firing on all cylinders. And I firmly believe that it's going to be another great season for them.
It has to be. I mean, it sucks that these guys are injured to start the season, but I'd rather they be injured and hurt on the front end, get healthy, and then be able to make a push and have a long, healthy season. Eduardo Rodriguez is out with a lat strain. No timetable for his return, but he's not on like the 15-day, not on the 10-day injured list. So that gives me hope that he'll be coming back sooner rather than later. Quick Google search tells me that the recovery time for a lat strain is about 2 to 3 weeks. And I think he's probably about a week or two into it already, if not more. So hopefully we see him back quicker. Like you said, Tallman, they're starting with the Rockies. That's a nice series to start with. They're bottom feeders. I mean, at least projected to be, right? They haven't been good since they got rid of Nolan Arenado and Trevor Story and all those guys. It's just been kind of a lackluster team. They're a young team. They're growing. So they could steal one from us if we're not careful. But ideally, we might not even need a closer for that first series. If we can just get out to a nice, comfortable victory, let those relievers do their thing and close the game out. But Mike, like Tallman's saying there, with what Torey Lovello's done with this team and how connected they were last season, what was it? A connected team is fucking dangerous or something like that. It's a dangerous team.
Yeah, you got it.
Pretty close, right? I find it hard to believe, though, that I think they have the potential to be even more connected, even just from the beginning of the season. I mean, even bringing in Eugenio Suarez, he's buddies with Paul Sewald, so you already got some built-in chemistry there. And like I said, bringing back all these guys, there's a lot of familiarity there. Do you think it's fair to say that the chemistry is going to be high from the jump?
It should be, because you also have to think they have the least amount of time off other teams. They were playing baseball into November, so it hasn't been that long since these guys have been on the diamond together. But you just look at all the pieces that are returning, right? Obviously, you got your two aces in Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. Brandon Pfaadt should take a nice leap this year. He's going to be given all the opportunities to move up in that rotation. Probably will stick around 4 because you want to have a left arm in there to kind of, give some change of pace. But then the brightest spot towards the end of the season throughout the playoffs was our relievers. And we're bringing back basically everybody, right? Ryan Thompson, Kyle Nelson, Joe Mantiply, Scott McGow, Luis Frias, unfortunately Miguel Castro, but hopefully he has a nice season coming back as well. But man, I mean, when you are cemented basically by 4 guys, right? Your 4 core guys with Christian Walker, Ketel Marte, and then 2 up-and-coming superstars in Gabriel Moreno and Corbin Carroll. How could you not feel confident about the growth of where these guys are going, right? I'm sure we're going to talk about Carroll a bunch, but the reigning NL Rookie of the Year, stellar season, 25 home runs, 76 RBIs, 54 stolen bases. Guys, you think he's going to get 60 this year? He just might, man. He's going to have plenty of opportunities getting on base because this lineup is growing as well. So going to be easy to mold into this season. My biggest concern is hopefully Paul Sewald and Eduardo Rodriguez doesn't hold this team back to start because they were like, oh, those were the pieces that were going to push us over the edge right away. But like you said, at least it's in the beginning of the season and they can get rolling against the Rockies.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, I think that is a factor, having played baseball into November, short rest. I mean, was that December, January, February? Then they started playing middle of February. So about only 2.5, 3 months off before they had to get back to work. I think that's enough time to recover. These guys have been playing baseball year round their entire life. So I think they'll be just fine. But those additions, man, I think those are some things to be excited about. What we got, like we already talked about, Eduardo Rodriguez, Eugenio Suarez, Jock Peterson, very familiar face here in the Valley, spent a long time with the Giants. So we got plenty of experience against him. He's going to be that power bat. The breaking news of Jordan Montgomery. And the interesting one to me, not necessarily a new addition, but a returning player that we kind of had an interesting saga with. It was Lourdes Gurriel Jr., where he had kind of had that cryptic or not so cryptic Instagram post, basically thanking Diamondbacks fans, saying his farewell. And I think within less than a month, it was announced that they were bringing him back. They paid the money. I guess within that, Tallman, I want to ask you, are you excited Gurriel is back? I think we've already talked about this a little bit. And maybe what is your favorite addition so far this offseason?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited Gurriel's back. I mean, he was a big bat in the middle of that lineup. And he played a big role into, the success this team had. Hopefully he does some extra curls before the season starts and gets that arm strength up a little bit. But no, I mean, he's a great baseball player, and he's clutch too. I mean, he gets you a hit when you need it. So definitely great to have him back. When the deal came out, I thought it was a little rich for my blood, and then how much money was given to him. But again, I mean, he's a core to this team, and I definitely very happy to have him back. I mean, okay, let's go into my favorite addition. Obviously, it's going to be Jordan Montgomery. Just how electric this guy was at the end of last season. I mean, we saw him. Who did the Dbacks lose to in the World Series? It was the team that he played for, right? He really turned it on at the end of the season, and he became an ace for that team. So if you can add somebody that is hopefully still rolling hot from last season and from the postseason, and he can pick up right where he left off, I mean, you have probably the 2 best pitchers in baseball right now on your team. And then don't forget about Kelly, who we've been calling him our second ace for the last year. So do we have 3 aces now? I don't know. And then you saw what Fott did. It's just this Montgomery signing. It's just impossible for me not to pick this as the best addition, because it is just too exciting to think what can happen with this team and this rotation. And then okay, let me go through the rotation. Gallen, Montgomery, Merrill, Kelly. Sorry, I said his first name first instead of his last name. Then you have Rodriguez, and then you have Brandon Fott. That is a killer pitching rotation right there. And that's the type of stuff that you need to beat the $1 billion Dodgers this season. So I love it.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with you there. That Montgomery signing, I think, might push us over the top. I mean, I don't think that's an exaggeration to say, because when you look at, we've talked about last season, what was one of our biggest hurdles and bugaboos in the playoffs was our pitching, our starting pitching. So you go out and you get 2 high quality starting pitchers to put along with Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. And you can't forget about Brandon Fott. He really came into his own. I mean, I want to say at the end of the season, but more so in the playoffs. If he can continue to grow on that and have him be our 5th option when he was our 3rd in the playoffs is just incredible. Mike, that graphic you just had up there, I think that's incredible. I think it's what it said. Jordan Montgomery had a 2.90 ERA through through the playoffs. And I like the comment at the bottom there. It said, do you think Mike Hazen can take over for James Jones? The Suns having some woes. That's a different stream though. Mike, keeping it on track though, and asking you the same question as Tallman, is Jordan Montgomery your favorite offseason addition?
Well, it's so new. I don't know if I can really say so far. It is a beautiful blessing right away, right? But and it's hard because I think I was leaning towards Eduardo Rodriguez, just a strong left-hander. I was hoping we were going to get Tommy Henry back healthy this year. He was going to give opportunities, to start, but then obviously now you add Jordan Montgomery. He kind of finds himself on the outside looking in, but starting off the season, he's on the IL as well, and it's kind of timetable up in the air right now too. So I think I like Eugenio Suarez as well. One of the big things that we talked about was he is a power bat. He will struggle with strikeouts as well, but Chris, weren't you the one who was saying just a couple of years ago he hit like 49 home runs or something? So adds another power to that opposite side of the field with Christian Walker, and somebody who is just sure and an everyday guy who we're not going to be having to worry about, okay, is it Evan Longoria this time? Okay, is it Emmanuel Rivera? Oh, now are we giving Jock Peterson an option? Shoring up a position is always something that I value when I'm looking at putting together teams. So I think that was probably my favorite so far. Now, hopefully he can hold up his end of the bargain if I'm calling him out on it, right?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I really did like Longo at third last season, but he's getting older and didn't always produce when we needed him to. He had some fun moments, but ultimately, I think having Suarez in that position is just going to be a fantastic addition. We talked about the injuries that have been piling up. Paul Sewald, of course, Eduardo Rodriguez. Also have to mention the new addition, Randall Grichuk, will probably start the season on IL. Hasn't officially been designated yet, but he's still getting over some bone spurs. And then our boy, or Tallman's boy, Dre Jameson, recovering from Tommy John surgery. He'll start on the 60-day IL. So maybe we'll get to see him later in the season as he continues to make his recovery there. A guy who has potential to throw really fast. I think he has a 100-mile-an-hour fastball he can throw down the pipe. So not a bad weapon to have in your belt. But fellas, I think it's time as we move forward here to make our predictions, or what I guess lay out our expectations for the Diamondbacks this season. Maybe not get carried away with predictions just yet. But last season we were expecting them to make the playoffs, hoping they make the playoffs. I think that is the minimum expectation at this point now. Tallman, what is your ceiling? What do you see the ceiling being for the Diamondbacks? Is it a return to the World Series?
Oh man, I don't want to sound too biased here. I'll be the first one to admit what happened last season. That run was absolutely magical, right? Totally, no one expected it. I mean, we were basically putting the nails in the coffin on this team after the All-Star break, right?
Yeah.
And look, it was incredible. Do I think they can? Yeah, it's normally who's playing the best baseball in October. The Dbacks were playing the best baseball. Well, not the best, but they were playing some of the best baseball in the league in October, and they made it to the final dance. You couldn't say the same about the Dodgers. The Dodgers win over 100 games and they get their ass whooped by the Dbacks. So do I think it's possible? Yes. I think this is a special core group of players that they have, and I think that they can do it again. Would I bet on it right now? No. Do I think what they did last year was magical? Yes. So I would say I'm leaning towards maybe not. I do see them getting to the playoffs, absolutely. But I don't know if I can go all in on another World Series if I'm going to be unbiased. Okay.
It's always good to be a little unbiased, but it never hurts to be a little biased. I mean, maybe Mike, maybe you can give us a straight answer. What you think the expectations you have for the Diamondbacks this year?
Well, first I got to address Tallman. If you're not putting money on the Diamondbacks to go to the World Series, you're a dummy, dude, because that's going to be a nice chunk of change coming back into your pockets. Guys, right now the Diamondbacks are plus 106 to make the playoffs. After the team that made the World Series, we're still not given the respect. I mean, we have longer odds than 13 other teams right now on FanDuel to make the World Series. It's crazy. But if you look at the line right now, it's 83.5 wins, We had 84 wins right last season. You got it. You know me, guys, right? I'm always the push it a little bit forward guy. So we got to be around 87, 88 wins, just a few more. At that point, you're pretty solidified into a wild card spot, because the truth of the matter is the Los Angeles Dodgers are just still too much of a powerhouse. That lineup got better, obviously, with adding Shohei Ohtani. We'll see what happens with all the gambling scandals. Are we crossing our fingers that he did it? I don't know. We'll let talk about that.
No wonder he wanted all that money deferred.
Yeah.
He needs a nice nest egg after he blows it all gambling.
No kidding. Well, we can get more into all that. No,
sorry, I didn't say
pump the brakes.
All right, I wanted to say
brakes.
my
We're gonna get into Shohei. Don't worry, Raymond.
Right.
We're gonna send this exact moment over to Raymond when we talk about Shohei as well. But guys, you just got to think about what's happening in the NL West as well, right? Colorado, bottom of the barrel, right? The Padres, they lost some key guys with Josh Hader, Blake Snell, and Juan Soto. The Giants, they lost 3 of their starting rotation pieces to free agency, and then Alex Cobb and Robbie Ray are out until at least the All-Star break. So there's plenty of positivity that can come from just facing our opponents in the NL West. Padres and Giants, they're going to be able to figure it out, but this should be another team where we're getting closer down towards, the end of summer and everything is meaningful. And hopefully we're still in a fight for the NL West, because 10 out of 11 years for the Dodgers is ridiculous. Somebody's got to break this curse at this point. And why not it be the Diamondbacks coming off a World Series? So I danced around the question. I don't think the Diamondbacks are going to make it back to the World Series just yet, but the future is so bright for this team. And, dude, adding Jordan Montgomery throws a wrench into everything right now, and we are running off of 35 minutes of this knowledge right now. So let's get the season started, and then we could start having some more conversations, because it could change real fast. That's for sure.
That's true. You definitely don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. And I'm sure we'll keep checking up on the Diamondbacks throughout the season. Of course, as you guys know, every 2 weeks throughout the Diamondbacks season, we're going to be bringing you an update and a recap of everything Arizona Diamondbacks related. So quick plug, make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of the Valley Sports and Arizona Diamondbacks action. But I think you guys are right. You gotta be optimistic, but also realistic. There's a reason that the Dodgers are projected to win the division and such high favorites to make a deep playoff run. And I think right now, favorite to win the World Series. We'll get more into that. But because on paper, they're scary, right? They have a lot of good players. They still got Freddie Freeman. They still got Mookie Betts. They added Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Not to mention they re-signed Clayton Kershaw. They still got a lot of their core. And here's my bias coming out. Hot take maybe. I think the Diamondbacks are more connected than the Dodgers are. I mean, you can put all these stars on a team together, but that doesn't mean they're going to have chemistry. That doesn't mean they're going to play well. In a lot of ways, baseball can be a year-to-year proposition. Guys can go cold. Guys can have a down year. It's hard to really say what could happen. Not to mention those guys I mentioned, especially Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, they're not getting any younger. They have a little bit of an older squad, especially Clayton Kershaw. That dude's old as shit. Whereas on the other hand, the Diamondbacks are still fairly young. I think I took offense to Tallman saying that Ketel Marte is an old man, considering he's exactly 30 years old and won't be 31 until October. But
he's past his prime.
Yeah, as we know, Tallman, as we all are. But hey, hopefully he's not too far past his prime where he can't still be effective. I still expect him to be our solid second baseman. He's shown the ability to stay healthy in the past. I guess I'll answer my own question here. I like where you guys are at between 85 and 90 games, 90 being the high end, me being optimistic. I really want my challenge to them is to win 90 games. I don't think 100 is realistic. A lot of people are writing in the Dodgers to win over 100 games, as they tend to do. But it's hard to go against history. As Mike mentioned, was it 10 out of the last 11 seasons the Dodgers have won the division? So it's very likely that's going to happen. But what did that get them last year? That got them swept their ass right out of the playoffs by the Diamondbacks. So as long as we continue to be a tough, scrappy team that's hungry, it's only going to benefit us. I mean, I think I would have been nervous if the projections were higher for us, to be honest, because that would put pressure on this team to perform. Whereas now it's hard to say that they're an underdog given what the whole league knows that they're capable of. But Mike, you said it. ranked 13 or 14 World Series favorite, having the St. Louis Cardinals higher favorites than us to make the World Series, that's just absolute ass. Like, I don't know what sports writer or odds maker is coming up with that shit, but I expect the Diamondbacks to be a top 10 team this season and make a push. But I do want to get into the NL West as a whole. I think this is a good time to do it. And we will look at the teams a little bit deep dive, but I'm excited. I want to talk about the Dodgers and this Ohtani situation going on. The breaking news the past couple weeks is he fired his interpreter, who is being accused of stealing some $20 million, I think, in and having bet on certain things. And Ohtani's like, oh, I'm so surprised. I had no clue this was coming. And the conspiracy theories, or I guess maybe just theories, if you want to call them that, are that he was in cahoots or he was in collusion with this interpreter, and now the interpreter is taking the fall for him. My brain goes towards it being very unlikely that even if here's my conspiracy theory, guys. I'm going to say it. I'm going to throw it to you guys. If there is evidence out there that Shohei Ohtani bet on baseball through his interpreter, whatever the case, if they find it, they're not going to look at it. They're going to bury it. Shohei Ohtani generates way too much money for the MLB. He is the biggest name, one of the biggest names in baseball, the biggest name in Japan and in Asian countries. The MLB will do everything they can to cover this up and sweep it under the rug so that we just stop talking about it. They need Ohtani so that they can keep seeing those dollar bills. And if I don't know, I just don't think this league stands on principle. I don't think any league stands on principle, especially when you see how different penalties are leveraged against guys. I mean, not to tie it in, but you look at what happened with Trevor Bauer. I mean, say what you will about him, but in the court of law, everything, he was found completely innocent, but he's blackballed from the league. And he's a good pitcher in his prime. Whereas now if you find evidence against Ohtani, it'll either be a slap on the wrist or we won't hear about it at all. Am I a crazy tinfoil hat guy over here?
No, I mean, no. I think everything you said there. I mean, it's a very big accusation, but I'm totally with you. You said 20 million. I thought it was 4.5 million.
4.5.
Oh, okay.
Or was it 20? I was gonna say, holy shit! I was like, he's really been busier than me. No, everything you said, it's hard to go against it. I mean, when was the last time someone got banned from the MLB for gambling? And I think it was
Pete Rose.
Was it? I think he was the biggest name, but it hasn't happened in. Has there been a more modern day kind of gambling scandal like this could potentially be? And I think I'm with you. I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on and I'm gonna say I think he's. I mean, come on, guys. How do you not? I know you signed a $700 million contract, but you deferred all of it. So how do you not notice $4.5 million? And then where's your bank at saying, hey, you wired the same dude $500,000? When you do a wire, you got to fill all that stuff out. But when it's that amount of money, your bank's going to call you and make you convert. Like there's no way that he didn't know about that. And there's also some people saying, well, when you have that much money and you're a professional athlete, you don't want to worry about finances. So a lot of people do stuff for you. But Shohei never came out and said, oh, he's like my business guy, or, he handles this and that for me. It's his interpreter. Why does his interpreter have all this access to his bank account? Did he steal his phone and steal his login information and go on there with all these wires? But that's like the one question, or he didn't really answer any questions. But, that was like the one thing, like, why wouldn't you be, if you're going to lie about it, say, oh yeah, he like managed some of my expenses for me and whatnot. They didn't answer that at all. Now they're just saying he flat out got robbed by this guy that's been his friend for so many years. It just is really fishy, and I love that it's with the biggest star probably in MLB history for the past, I don't know, since Mike Trout came in the league. Like this has been crazy.
Well, he was reigning MVP, right? Like last season, NL MVP.
Signs the huge contract.
Yeah, huge contract, the marketability. And Tallman, that's a great question. I mean, how did this guy have so much access? And moreover, how did nobody notice as he racked up $4.5 million in gambling debts or losses, whatever it is? I guess it could be a handful of large bets, maybe. But like a lot of these places have limits, and then there's no verification. I guess it's just very confusing. I think I could be wrong, but I think I read maybe it was off of like a stolen credit card or something like that. But how does it happen for that long without you noticing? And again, why does he have access? I'd imagine Ohtani's not like us. He's not going into his Wells Fargo app paying his credit card bill himself. He's not paying his mortgage. He's got people that do that for him. So again, maybe how many other people were involved and in on this within the Ohtani camp, if you want to call it that. And another thing, I on the interpreter and him getting thrown under the bus, I think, again, unsubstantiated, but I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that through part of the investigation so far is they found out that he kind of lied about his credentials, that he said that he graduated from some college, but there's no record of him ever attending the university. So sounds like maybe this guy is a little bit of a shady figure, but how long was he Ohtani's interpreter for? And I think we're going to end up at the end of the day with more questions than we get answers.
Yeah, well, he's been his interpreter since he moved to the United States, right? He's been here for 5 years, 6 years. So, I mean, and then you've had people that have been his teammate. I mean, shit, the team that Ohtani plays for, they keep his interpreter on their payroll. So the guy was making like $400,000 to $600,000 a year, I think, being paid by the team just to sit there and talk for the superstar player. But you have teammates when he was on the Angels saying, yeah, those guys, it was more than a business relationship. You know, they said they acted like brothers, you know, the way they joked around. And I mean, they're saying you never saw Ohtani without, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the dude's name. You never saw Ohtani go anywhere without his interpreter. Right. So I don't know. It's a lot of compelling stuff coming out, and they're going to do a full investigation. So I'm pretty stoked to see what they find out. But I'm with you, man. I mean, what type of penalty do you give this guy if it does come out that he was betting through some illegal bookmaker in California? It's really, really shady.
I mean, if there is like unequivocal evidence that Ohtani knew about it, he was betting on games. If the MLB stands on principle, there's two things I think they could do. They could do one, lifetime ban for Ohtani. Even same with Pete Rose, lifetime ban. Two, induct Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame immediately. I mean, there's no other way around it. Like, those are your two options if you're the MLB. But like I said, I believe that they're going to do everything, absolutely everything they can to cover it up if there is evidence out there. I did see this funny meme I wanted to share with you guys. They were talking about what the team was probably saying to their Spanish interpreter. Get ready to learn Japanese, buddy. Because Shohei's going to need a new interpreter. I'm sure he's got one by now, but I know that's fucking dumb. But anyway, guys, enough about Ohtani. I'm sure we're going to have to talk about this bum plenty enough, and he's not going to get a ban or even suspended or anything. They're going to blame the interpreter, and this is the last we'll hear about it, especially once games get going this Thursday. They already started with their Seoul series in Korea. I think, the Padres and Dodgers played a 2-game series. So Dodgers are already 1-1, 500 record. With a win on Thursday, the Diamondbacks could have a better record than the Dodgers. But let's look at the rest of the division a little more broadly. We can maybe circle back, talk about the Dodgers a little bit more. But I think the next closest team people are worried about is probably the Giants or Padres. I don't know. What would you think, Mike?
At this point, I think you're thinking about the Padres. Like I said, they do lose their closer, their Cy Young ace, and one of their best hitters in Juan Soto. But man, that team definitely underperformed last year, and they need to come out of the gates hot. And there's a lot of people who are starting to pencil in Fernando Tatis Jr. as an early MVP pick because they think he's going to come out rolling to start this season. And if he does, they're going to be successful, and they could be right in the thick of things when it comes down to possible wild card spots. So I think I'm leaning towards the Padres at this point. Just that big thing with those 3 starters being down for the Giants, man, that's a scary way to start a season. And if you don't have a solidified rotation, let alone your top 3 guys, you're going to be, trying to pinpoint things together. And that's easier said than done at the end of the day. Every day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like with a lot of this stuff, especially right now, basically no games have been played. It's all just looking at the players and the numbers on paper and trying to make guesses from there. But Tallman, would you agree with that? Is probably the Padres that you're most worried about next after the Dodgers?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you make some good points about the Giants. But I'm more inclined to lean towards the Giants because I mean they add Blake Snell. When you pair Blake Snell with Logan Webb, those two guys were uh, 1 and 2 in the Cy Young race last year, right? And what's his face? Who's our guy? He was number 3. So I mean, you have the top 2 Cy Young rated pitchers, now in the same rotation. You add Matt Chapman, you add Soler. They added some other dude. I don't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they're trying to fill all the holes that they have. So, but I am a little afraid of the Padres too. I mean, they still have a great offense. I mean, Tatis, if he can figure out how to get back to MVP level Tatis, I mean, that's dangerous. Still got Cronenworth, you got the Bogarts guy, you got Machado. I mean, that's still a solid lineup. I don't know. I'm pretty close on both of them, but I'd have to lean towards the Giants.
Yeah, I think they're pretty comparable all in all. They're probably going to have a very similar projection for this season. I'm kind of inclined to lean more towards the Giants just because they made more additions than the Padres. It seems like the Padres kind of have more subtractions than additions. Matt Chapman was another guy that was rumored to be a target of the Diamondbacks, which they quickly turned that down. And again, he was commanding a big payday. And I think the Diamondbacks looked at that and they said, well, we don't want to invest that much money in an aging third baseman who we might only get one good season out of. Because of course, every guy in their mid-30s wants to get one last big contract. And if you bring him to Arizona, he's just going to golf all the time anyway. So you don't want that. Yeah, it's really close. It's really close between them. I'm looking at the odds for the NL West here. They have the Dodgers to win the division at -450, Giants at +1,000, tied with the Diamondbacks at +1,000. Padres right behind them, though, at +1,100. And then anyone want to take a stab at what the Rockies odds are if you haven't looked already?
4,000. That might be high.
No,
5,000.
You're both extremely low. +20,000 on DraftKings.
What am I saying?
So,
man, don't tell the interpreter that he's going to go bet on the Rockies and win.
I think the only way that happens, and God forbid it does, if
Jesus.
the other 3 teams in the league have a catastrophic plane crash or something, and then Rockies win by default. But like I said, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. It's safer to ride in a car than fly in a plane. But
yeah, hopefully everyone starts taking buses now after you just jinxed them.
What do you got here, Mike?
It's just the general odds.
Just the odds.
Oh,
This is from BetMGM. They're +25,000.
Wow.
Ooh, okay, so BetMGM likes the Rockies a little bit more than DraftKings.
And then they have the Dbacks matched up with the Padres there. Wow. Okay.
That's just a ploy by the sports books to put those incredible odds up there to make it enticing for guys like Tallman here to put a nice little wager on it so they can pocket that money.
Why would I bet on the Rockies? That's ridiculous.
Is sports betting legal in Colorado? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, if I was a Rockies fan, I'd put $5 on that. I mean, what?
Why?
At +20,000, what is $5? That's like $2,000 or something like that. I don't know. My math's not good, but anyway, in any case, just to talk about the Dodgers one last time, I think that they are obviously favored to win the division for a reason, but it's funny when you kind of look at maybe some stumbles they've had. I guess that's not fair to say considering they did technically win spring training for the NL. They had the best record. But, I mean, that's spring training. Their new star, other than Ohtani, their star acquisition, Yamamoto, he didn't do so good. In like 1 innings of work, I think he got lit up, had some crazy astronomical ERA. And then I don't think they rolled him out again the rest of the preseason. I took a flyer on him and drafted him pretty high in our fantasy baseball draft we just had here this last Sunday. But I don't know, man. Tallman, what do you think of Yoshi? Is he going to be a boom or a bust for the Dodgers?
I really hope he's a bust because that's going to be a really big bust. He didn't have a good start. I mean, only one inning. But no, it's it's comical. You have that happen, then you have Ohtani. You have your $2 billion guys. One just totally gets lit up in his first appearance, and the other one is lighting up his own bank account. So look, oh, there goes Mike.
I was gonna say he's either sleeping because this is so boring, or
yeah, or he was frozen, and we can confirm, folks, he was frozen. So yep, looks like he's got some technical difficulties, but he'll be back with us. But no, he'll probably figure it out. I mean, he's a great talent. You mentioned earlier, pitching in Japan's not like pitching in the major leagues, but I mean, he had some incredible stats over there in Japan, and Japan's the next hardest place to play baseball than the United States. So I think they overpaid for him, but I bet you he figures it out, and he'll have some good games against the Dbacks, I'm sure.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, what was it, a year and a half ago? We saw Japan win the World Baseball Classic. He was a part of that, of course. If I understand correctly, he pitched really well during that. And you're right, it is not the MLB over there, but it's probably the most comparable league in the world to the MLB, at least as far as competition level. But you look at guys that have had similar success. I think Kodai Senga from the New York Mets, he came over and he's done pretty good. Merrill Kelly, like you said, came over here from Korea. He didn't want to get knocked around the AA, AAA. He didn't want to play the minor league circuit. So he went over to Korea, did really well, and parlayed that into a pretty good MLB career so far. Now one of our aces, you're right, doesn't have not to talk about Merrill Kelly too much, but doesn't have a lot of miles on him. It's a little bit of a different game. So yeah, Yamamoto could be scary. Pairing that up with their rotation as well, which is pretty stacked. What a Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, Yamamoto. Who else do they have?
You always forget they got Glass now.
Oh,
it's
fuck.
Like, he's like
Tyler
the one guy. It's like you always like, oh yeah. And while all this other stuff was happening, they traded. I think they traded for him. So they're gonna have a good rotation if they can stay healthy. And then next season, let's add Ohtani to that. Why not?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a great point. I mean, once you get through this season with your already stacked rotation, then Ohtani's fully recovered from. It wasn't Tommy John, it was something else. But he has had Tommy John surgery in the past.
Right. I don't remember what it was.
I think, well, if he had Tommy John.
It wasn't like a full tear or something. He can swing the bat. But
I was going to say, because if he had Tommy John, I don't think there's any way he's batting this season. Yeah, look that up real quick. But I forgot about that Tyler Glasnow trade. So I might have to retract what I was saying 20 minutes ago about their rotation not being as scary as I thought.
They got Glasnow. And I think I drafted him in our fantasy league, but I got him really, really late though. Glasnow, that is.
Well, and how crazy is that to think that now, after so many years of being their ace, Kershaw is like their third or fourth best pitcher on the roster if you include Ohtani?
Yeah, that's wild.
It's kind of scary.
Here, I'm trying to pull it up here. It was like a elbow ligament damage.
Elbow ligament damage.
All right, he had his first Tommy John surgery in late 2018.
Well, welcome back, Mr. Benjamin. I apologize that you got a little frozen there. Tallman here reminded me that the Dodgers signed Tyler Glasnow in the offseason. I think he came over from Tampa Bay. So I'd kind of forgotten about him. He definitely boosts their starting rotation and makes them a little bit dangerous. But I don't want to beat a dead horse here. I think we've kind of mapped out what our thoughts are on the matter. As far as Dodgers, you can probably write them in to win the division, barring anything crazy happening, which means that the D-backs have to make it through the wild card, which is fine. I think that's perfectly doable. We showed last year we were capable of doing that, swept the Brewers, no problem. So Diamondbacks just have to worry about what they can control, and that's taking it one game at a time and continuing to build from there, and not be too hard on themselves if they are not competing with the Dodgers for the division title. It's a long 182 game season, and there's going to be plenty of time for them to figure it out. But fellas, as we move into the back half of this stream here, I want to take a look at some awards odds. We've already talked about some of the World Series odds, and we'll go into that a little bit more and make our final predictions. But I think we'll start maybe with some of the season awards. Looking at the Rookie of the Year projections, these odds are courtesy of DraftKings. Tallman and I were just talking about him a little bit. NL Rookie of the Year favorite is Yoshiyama. I might be mispronouncing that. Yamamoto at plus 260. So best odds there. And then Young Ho Lee, San Diego Padres, young guy who's going to projected second, plus 500. And then Jackson Chirino, I think, plus 600. I'll be honest, I don't know too much about those later two guys, but we were just talking about Yamamoto there. He had that tough start in spring training. Mike, what do you think of him? Do you think he's going to bounce back from that and have a real good season for the Dodgers?
I think it's just a matter of getting your footing within the MLB game. Obviously, he was one of the best pitchers. Didn't he get the richest contract for a pitcher in history as well? But like you said, yeah, he struggled in spring training. I mean, 3 games, 9.2 innings pitched, 8.38 ERA. And then obviously he got shelled in his first game of the season. Only pitched 1 inning, 4 hits, 5 earned runs. I'm hoping he doesn't have a good season, guys, because then that's obviously a positive for us. And hopefully it takes him longer to figure out his game. But I have a feeling he's going to figure it out some way or another. But yeah, that's kind of crazy to see him start so bad. But I love it. Damn, I love it. That's for sure.
Oh, everyone, internet-wide, especially here in the Valley, we were eating that up for breakfast. And I'm glad you corrected me there. While you were gone, I said that he had a poor spring training and had that 1-inning crazy game in spring training. That was actually a regular season game during the Soul Series. I didn't realize that. So that's even better. And honestly,
that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
That is even better.
So you love that. But I think you can give him a little bit of a window, an adjustment window to get used to the game. Hopefully he takes the whole season. Hey man, take the whole season to figure it out. You don't need to be good right away. You got a nice long contract. You can figure it out next year, the year after. Plus your best friend Shohei Ohtani isn't even going to be pitching this year. So do you even really want to be pitching that good? I don't know. But just not knowing too much about the others, I think if he does figure it out, early on, I think there's a very high chance that he does win the NL Rookie of the Year. What do you guys think? Do you know anything about those other two guys I mentioned, Young Ho Lee or Jackson Chirino?
Well, didn't Young Ho Lee play a little bit with the Padres last season?
I believe so. Yeah. I don't know if he was a September call up, or I don't know if there's like an amount of games you can play to still be eligible for the next year.
Well, it's kind of the same thing that happened with Corbin Carroll, right? He got called up, played how many games?
Like 20 or something,
20
maybe.
Something. So yeah, that's probably the same situation. But yeah, don't know too much about the two guys. Obviously, with the big name and the huge contract that
And it looks like we might be losing Mike again, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't. I think what he was saying there though is hard to imagine that Yoshi is not the NL Rookie of the Year this year. But taking a look at the American League, we got Wyatt Langford at plus 225, Evan Carter at 310, and Jackson Holliday at plus 450. So I think honestly a much tighter race in the AL for Rookie of the Year. You guys may be familiar with that name, Evan Carter. He was the Texas Rangers fielder. I can't quite remember what position he plays, but he's like 21 years old, hitting homers, batting like 400 in the playoffs and the World Series. So honestly, I think Evan Carter might be my favorite coming out of the AL for Rookie of the Year. And then Jackson Holliday, young Orioles prospect and making waves. I don't know if he got called up in September, to be honest, but Tallman, out of those guys in the AL, who are you liking the most?
I like the Carter one. Definitely. And I won't try to pretend I know who Jackson Holliday is. But I'm feeling that Carter one, definitely.
What? I was gonna pull up a picture of Jackson Holliday for you because I talked about him a bit last year. He's baby face. He's got a baby face. He's only 20 years old, just turned 20 in December. So he's a real young guy. But let me see if I can pull this guy up here. Oh, that's a tiny.
Oh, I got it on.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, for anyone who's curious. Yeah. he looks his age. He honestly looks a little bit younger than his age, but obviously making it to the majors at this age means got to mean something. And I think that speaks a lot to the game and its development, where guys are getting called up earlier and earlier and being younger and younger and being able to produce and perform. Mike, what do you like about or I guess who do you like out of Evan Carter, Jackson Holiday, and Wyatt Langford?
To be honest with you, I'm kind of leaning towards Wyatt Langford, man. Like, he's had an incredible spring training. He batted .365, 6 homers, 20 RBIs, and 63 at bats. I mean, fourth overall pick in the first round in 2023. So he's another young guy. It's crazy to see when these guys are born in the 2000s now, man. Like, it's kind of shocking to see that, but
it's making you feel old.
Oh yeah, all the time. But he's going to get an opportunity out in the left field, and man, it seems like the rich get richer, right? Because Evan Carter did have, he made some strides and did have, he gave something in that World Series run, but another year to progress. I wouldn't be surprised if it's between those two, and to have 2 of the Rookie of the Year candidates on the same team, that freaking sucks, man. If it's not your team.
Yeah, that's crazy. Can you even think of another time, Tallman, where teammates were competing for Rookie of the Year, or really any award? I mean, I guess we could have seen that this year with like Ohtani and Betts and Freeman. Those 3 guys are always in like the top 5, top 10 for that running. But more specifically, Rookie of the Year, like that's props to the Rangers. They must have a really good fucking system to be able to have not only 2 of the top prospects, but 2 favorites to win an award like that.
Sorry, that's funny. Yeah, props to them. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it could be Blaze Alexander and Jordan Lawler this year, but we're too good. Just kidding.
Well, they play the same position though, don't they? Blaze and Lawler.
You'll find a way.
I mean, not to crush your dreams there, Tallman, but
we
also got Geraldo Perdomo that's gonna be starting there at shortstop for us,
as he should.
Maybe
that young man deserves it.
Maybe in the near future we can see those guys. But yeah, so very interesting, very exciting time for the MLB to have all these young guys coming up and doing well. Last year it was fun seeing Corbin Carroll do his thing, but now he's just one of the guys. He's got the only award he can really go get is Silver Slugger, Golden Glove, or MVP. So hopefully he stays in that conversation. Now let's talk about the MVP race for the National League first. Looking at the top favorites, again, odds courtesy of DraftKings. Ronald Acuna Jr. plus 500, Mookie Betts plus 650, and Mr. Betts, not Mookie Betts, Mr. Betts, Shohei Ohtani plus 750 favorite to win the World Series. Yeah, Tallman, you can clown me, but honestly, I think it seems like Acuna is favored almost every single year, and then he puts up numbers. I mean, he's good on the base pass. He has a good strong bat. He has pretty good average too. So it's hard to not like Acuna, especially what him and his team are able to do. That's a solid Braves team, right? Is he's still on the Braves? So hard to bet against that. But we even saw I should have. Oh yeah, no, I got 2 others here. Tatis Jr. We mentioned him. He's plus 1,000, and then number 8 on this list for favorites is Corbin Carroll at plus 1,800. So a little bit of love in there for the boy Corbin Carroll, but obviously going up against some big names there. I'll pass it over to you first, Mike. Who do you like most for NL MVP?
I just got to go with the hot hand, man. It's going to be back to back. It's Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, you just, like you said, you got to look at that Atlanta Braves roster as well. They have the highest World Series odds at 28.4% right now. Spencer Strider should be the leading candidate for the Cy Young after his stellar year. So that team should win over 100 games. And, I mean, is Acuna going to steal 73 bases again? I don't think so. But, man, he really does it all. And I'm just kind of rooting for that first back-to-back because we haven't seen it in 15 years in the NL. The last time it happened was in 2009. And I'll throw a trivia question at you guys. Do you know who that was? Any guesses?
In 2009, was it Nolan Arenado?
No.
Damn.
It's not.
I don't
Cody
even think he's won
or
MVP.
Tallman, you got to guess. He's got a big bat. How about that? I'll give you that.
You said MVP for which league?
NL.
2009 and 2010 or
08 and 09.
08,
was the
09?
last time.
Shit.
You might punch yourself after you hear the name.
It's I'm trying to think because I wanted to say Barry Bonds, but I'm pretty sure he was retired by then.
Yeah.
And old at
He's
best. God,
So-
2008, 2009 is just such a blur for me, Mike. Who is it?
Yeah, go for it.
It's Albert Pujols. See?
Of course.
Yeah.
I have this like West Coast bias, and I know like national, like the leagues the way they are in the MLB, it's like countrywide. So that St. Louis Cardinals, Albert Pujols, that makes sense. Power bat for sure. Yeah. So damn, I agree, Mike. Hard not to go with Acuna. Is that the consensus? Tallman is probably going to be your boy Ronald.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, to do what he does, not only defensively, but on the base pass, and then still hit for that much power. I mean, he's that just freak, one of a kind baseball player that, he can play in the field, he can hit it over the fence, and he can beat you on the base pass. So yeah, it's hard not to pick him. I mean, the guy stole over 70 bases last year. I mean, he made history last year too with his stat lines that he put up. So yeah, it's definitely going to be him.
Obviously, of course, everything has an asterisk barring injury, of course. Never wish that upon anyone, but I think, yeah, it's a good chance he goes back to back. The stealing bases is huge in the MLB right now, and he's leading the charge as far as that goes. So we'll see how the season shakes out for the NL MVP race, but the AL MVP race is also very interesting. Of course, a name we see often, favorite right now, Aaron Judge at plus 550, Julio Rodriguez plus 600, and Juan Soto going to the AL a plus 600 as well. So you got a pair of teammates there in Judge and Soto, and then Julio Rodriguez of the Mariners. I think he had an incredible, I don't think did he win the, the home run derby last year? Or he just had like an incredible amount of home runs in a single round. I think he like burned it. He like wore himself out smashing a ton of homers in the first round. But I think that just speaks on, he's a guy who can hit the ball well. And I think that's what's kind of crazy is all three of these guys are just big power bats, which obviously there's a reason for that. The home run is sexy. People love that. But Aaron Judge, he's not stealing bases. He's not a fast guy. He doesn't bat for, he's not a 300 batter. He's decent, probably 250 batter. So I get why people like Aaron Judge. It's fun watching him blast 460-foot home runs, but honestly, he's not my favorite to win AL MVP. I honestly like Julio Rodriguez a lot more as far as that goes. Well, what do you think, Mike? Am I off base here?
No, I think that's a great pick. I just get bored with having the same guys every once in a while, especially if they're Yankees. Don't put my name in that hat. I will die on the sword if one of them wins. I don't care, but I'm not putting them on my list to start any season. But I'm going to throw an underdog at you guys right now. It's not the biggest name that a lot of people might know about just yet because he's a young guy, but I think his team is going to be fighting with the Houston Astros for the AL pennant. And I'm thinking maybe Adley Rutschman, the catcher from the Baltimore Orioles, might have a push for the AL MVP this year. I mean, I love me some Gabby Moreno, don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure Adley Rutschman is the best catcher in baseball. I mean, just solid numbers from the plate, .277 average, 20 homers, 80 RBIs, and 84 runs. And then his fielding is .994, his percentage. I mean, another guy who could be in the Gold Glove candidacy for catchers as well. But it's a dark horse. Obviously, it's not a sexy name. It's a brand new name to the game of baseball, but he's fastly cementing himself as the best catcher in the game. So why not? I'll throw it his way. How about that?
I like that pick. He was also in the home run derby, right? And then I didn't watch all of it, but I did watch him where I think he bats left-handed and then he switched and then he hit like 5 home runs from the other side. And I don't think he normally switch hits. during actual games.
Oh man.
So the guy's he's a beast, man. If I had to bet on somebody right now, and then just to throw out real quick on FanDuel, they actually have Juan Soto favored at 500 or plus 500 to win it. Judge at plus 700, and then Corey Seager and Rodriguez and Alvarez at plus 1,000. So if you want to hit up those Aaron Judge odds, FanDuel, don't go to DraftKings. But if I had to bet on somebody right now, I don't know, man. I think I know he's at the top, but I'm really feeling Corey Seager. Trust me, I didn't watch a ton of Rangers baseball, and then I reluctantly watched a ton of Rangers baseball at the end of the season when Corey Seager was just beating our ass in the World Series. And I'm also not biased because I drafted him in fantasy baseball, but I see that team taking a big step. A big step in the regular season. Obviously, they took the biggest step ball and won the whole thing last season, but I feel like they're going to be a great team this season. And Corey Seager's their leader and the best bat they have on that rotation.
Yeah, I don't want to say I forgot about Corey Seager, but honestly, like, that's a good pick. That is a pretty good pick.
Recency bias. Boo.
But Mike,
you may be right, yeah.
But he had his best season of his career last year after already being a productive player with the Dodgers early in his career. So I think there's some validity to it. But again, I don't think you're completely wrong. Recency bias, World Series bias, because that's another team. Like, we're talking about the Diamondbacks. They had a short offseason because of the World Series run. So did the Rangers. They are going to be dealing with that very same issue, if you want to call it that, or hurdle, obstacle you got to overcome. Where is there a certain amount of fatigue that you haven't been able to shake off in the last in just having those 1.5, 2 months off, whatever it was? Did you spend enough time in Cancun? Did you get enough foot massages? These are the questions you got to ask, guys. I really don't know. But man, this has been fun. I mean, we're going to have to really see how the season shakes out. Before we get out of here, though, we got to make some predictions, guys. We do it every year. World Series predictions, biased, unbiased, whichever way you want to go. We looked at it a little bit. Odds, courtesy of DraftKings, once again, favorites to win the World Series. And Tallman, maybe you can share the FanDuel odds, see if they're any different. But right now, DraftKings has Dodgers plus 350, Braves plus 450, Astros plus 750. And as we mentioned, Diamondbacks at 14th plus 4,000 to win the World Series. Not make the World Series, win the World Series. I'll let you guys make your predictions first, and I'll go last.
You want me to go first? Tallman?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll take it. So obviously I got to break down a couple of these teams, right? Because, man, there's a lot of good clubs in baseball, but there are some who have really cemented themselves above the rest, right? If you look at the AL, obviously the Houston Astros are always in it. Adding Josh Hader as their closer was huge. They are going to have some injuries to start the season with Verlander. But like I said, guys, I kind of like the Baltimore Orioles, right? Adding Corbin Burns as that frontline starter was huge. Jackson Holiday, he could push for AL of the Rookie of the Year as well. I got Adley Rutschman as my MVP. You got the reigning AL Rookie of the Year, Gunnar Henderson. They could push for 90-plus wins. And let's give a team that's been just down in the dumps for years.
What do you think he was going to say, Tallman?
So I think he was going to say, let's give a team, Baltimore Orioles, who've been down in the dumps for years, the respect that they deserve, because they are a really good baseball team and a really good young baseball team too, just like the Dbacks. So are you back, Mike?
No, don't put words in his mouth.
Am I back?
Don't put words in his mouth.
You're back.
He's back.
Good Lord. I couldn't have said it any better, Tallman. Appreciate it. Am I here?
Yeah. There you go.
Hello?
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
Good Lord, man. Thank you, new house Wi-Fi. I thought I had fiber. What the hell is this bullshit? So I'll go quick so I can get off the mic. I'm going to take the Atlanta Braves, and then so it'll be Braves, Baltimore in the World Series, and then Braves win it. How about that? I'm done.
Beautiful.
There you go.
We might have to invest in some 30-foot long Ethernet cable for Mike so he can get directly plugged in. Hey, I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm up in the second story. I got a 50-foot Ethernet cable going all the way down.
I just got to set up my Google Homes, and then I can connect directly to those, and then we'll be all right. Just bear with us, people. New house problems.
Hey, good problems to have all around. But Braves, that's not a bad pick, honestly. I think I didn't look back, but I think they might have been my pick last year to win the World Series. And I said I'm going last. So Tallman, you got to let us know what you're thinking.
Damn it! All right. Okay, I'm just gonna do it, guys, because I talked myself into it throughout the course of the stream, even though I did say they weren't gonna do it and they weren't gonna go back. I'm gonna pick the Diamondbacks
To win the World Series.
No, to go.
Oh, to go. Okay,
Yeah,
just to go.
to go.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure if I have them winning it or not.
To be determined.
Yeah, son of a bitch. See, I already ruined my prediction with picking the Diamondbacks. I'm gonna go. How about this? 0-1 rematch. Diamondbacks and the Yankees. World Series this season. You heard it here first.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have the Yankees winning their first one in a long time. I know Ian's gonna love that one.
Ooh, okay. Dude, it's been a long time for the Yankees. Of course, they ruled dominant in the 90s, early 2000s.
Oh man, I'm gonna get my ass kicked for that prediction later on.
Make sure we're gonna make sure we clip this, send it to Freezing Cold Takes so they can keep it on ice and see where we're at come October time. Yeah, man. Tallman, what I want to happen and what I think are going to happen are probably not the same thing. I would love to ride with you there and say Diamondbacks for sure back in the World Series. I don't think they're going to get back there. And that's me maybe just trying to save my feelings from being hurt and not being overly optimistic, because last year, like we said, our expectations were make the playoffs and they exceeded them. So my expectations now, or my hope is, I hope the Diamondbacks make the National League Championship game. I think that would be a great milestone. Maybe it's them and the Dodgers. I think I have to be the asshole, guys, and Mike just did again having some internet issues, but I'm gonna be. I know this is Valley Sports Plug. This is our MLB preview. We're Diamondbacks fans.
Don't do it.
I think that they hear the noise. I think that they hear the hate and that they want to prove everybody wrong. And especially with the talk of the asterisks from 2020, the Dodgers are going to do what everyone thinks they're going to do, and they're going to win the World Series. And they're going to be a powerhouse team for the next 5 years with all these guys. I did it.
Oh, see, all right. So that's why I picked the Diamondbacks, because I was going to pick the Dodgers, but I didn't want to. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to go with the Diamondbacks. No, well, I mean, it's hard. I mean,
well, it's the easy pick too, right? I mean, because on paper,
that is the easy pick. Yeah,
it's a cop out, and so I guess I'll follow you. And I think Yankees. I just think they always choke.
They do. Yeah, their pitching falls apart. No one can stay healthy in that pitching rotation. But
exactly, and they're poorly managed. Like I think Aaron Boone is still their manager. And talking to Ian and having him on here, I think all the Yankees fans are just fed up with the managing situation there. But they have a lot of pretty good young guys too. Gleyber Torres is an old. Anthony Volpe, their shortstop, he figured it out last year. Of course, adding Juan Soto doesn't hurt at all. I think they're going to be without Garrett Cole for a little bit to start the season. They still have Nestor Cortez, which people are up and down on him. Who's the other guy? Carlos Rodon. He had a great time with the White Sox, and then I think the Giants had a little bit of a down year last year with the Yankees, but he's a guy who, when he can turn it on, is also hot. So Yankees, not a bad pick, but I think I might be controversial here. I think the Rangers might get back to the World Series, man. I think
they have a solid shot. Absolutely. Because, I mean, that would be the Dodgers, Rangers. That would be like a very, very likely scenario that could happen. I really like Mike's pick, though. I think Orioles, they just couldn't put it. They couldn't put anything together in the postseason last season. It was sad because they had stellar regular season. They're a good baseball team. So that was a solid pick. Same with the Astros. Can't count out the Astros. I think the Rangers are going to be smoking hot. And then, I mean, when it comes to the NL, it's all about the Dodgers and the Braves. I mean, they're by far the two best teams in baseball, I would say.
Yeah, no, hard to disagree with that. And a lot can happen between now and the end of the season. I'll always say that. But I'm optimistic for the Diamondbacks. I think they're going to be at the top of the standings. Definitely going to make the playoffs should anything dramatic happen. I don't want to be sitting here in 2 weeks and 4 weeks talking about our rough start. Hopefully we come out the gate hot. I think it's great that we're starting with the Rockies, a 4-game stretch, but then we have the Yankees and Braves in the next 2 series after that. I think that's gonna be a test right off the bat. We're Yankees at home, and that's gonna be an away game at home because it's gonna be filled up with Yankees fans. They all moved here for the warm weather, and then we go to Atlanta to play the Braves for a 3-game stretch, so on their home field. Of course, probably still being a little banged up. Who knows if Paul Sewald will be back by that series? And we don't. But the good news is the silver lining here, Tallman, is we don't play the Dodgers until the end of April, so we get to start our season without having to play them. Whereas last season, I think we played 2 series with them within the first 2 months, which was tough. I mean, we did do well against them early last year,
Yeah,
but
it was like
struggled late.
It was like 2 series in like the first couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we started with them, maybe had 1 or 2 in between, and then played them.
And then we played them again. Yeah. But I mean, damn, we have to wait that long to play them. I will say we are going to a Dodgers Dbacks game at Chase Field, and I don't care how ridiculously priced these tickets are going to be. Oh, you can come see the Indians play for $15. Oh, the Dodgers are coming in town on a random Thursday. Oh, it's going to be $100 just to walk in, just because you have to pay to see Ohtani. But we got to go to one of those games. That's my goal for this season. We're going to a Dodgers D-backs game.
Oh, you already know I'm down. I was looking with Ian at going to that Yankees game. He's going to end up going with his girlfriend, and wasn't in the cards for me this time. But yeah, definitely want to catch a Dodgers game. I was talking to my mom today. Her and my dad got the home game pass, all the $200 every home game pass that the Dodgers offered. So sounds like I'm going to be going to some games with them. My brother Matt, he's been on the streams before. He also got the package, so might be going to some games with him as well. So Tallman, maybe I can save you some money. I'll talk to him. Maybe we can be their 2 guests because they each got 2 sets of 2 tickets. So you can go, but the catch is you have to go with one of the people that holds the tickets. So
I gotcha. Yeah.
So it's like my mom. It'd probably be my mom, my brother, me, and you, or my brother, my dad, me, and you, or some combination.
Yeah. All right.
Well, we'll coordinate it. We'll figure it out.
Sounds good.
And then maybe we just buy him a beer or something. But that's our 2024 MLB season preview. Before we get out of here, Tallman, is there anything you want to say about baseball or anything on your mind?
Yeah, I just want to start off by saying rest in peace, Michael. His computer didn't make it. So I'll say we'll say our goodbyes for Michael Benjamin. But no, I mean, dude, walking into the stream 5 minutes before you tell me we got Jordan Montgomery, this is awesome. That's all I gotta say, Jordan Montgomery. So it's gonna be a great season, and let's get it started here on Thursday.
Yeah, what are the odds? That was perfect timing for that news to break. I would have hated if that were to happen later this evening or even tomorrow. But guys, that happening 2 days before the season starts is crazy. With no spring training, who knows when he'll work his way into the rotation, if he's ready to go right away, if they do it right away, or if they give him a few weeks to get back into it. I imagine he's still probably been working out. He's not that old. I mean, he might be past his prime, Tallman, because I think he's 31, but as far as pitchers go, like I said, old-ass Justin Verlander is going to be 42 this year.
Yeah, he's going to be just fine. He's not fully past his prime because, you know.
I know.
No,
but no,
he'll
be fine. Oh, yeah. I'm very excited for this season. We'll see how it all shakes out. Like I mentioned, Diamondbacks recaps every 2 weeks right here on YouTube at Valley Sports Plug. I can't talk. I can't even do my plugs right. At AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, and Threads. Valley Sports Plug on Facebook and YouTube. For Michael Benjamin, for VSP Tallman, I'm Chris Patrick. We'll see you next time. Peace.